Hi everyone, my name is Hadi and I'm a journalist and communications specialist. I believe that as Africans, we should be in charge of every narrative coming out of Africa. We have a lot of positive stories to tell and share with the world, and I'm determined to use my platform to make that a reality. This is why I've teamed up with the FATA Network to bring you a brand new show, Stories from the Continent, every Saturday at 4 p.m. Do make sure you join us. There will be lots of fun, informative and impactful conversation.
Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Stories from the Continent with Hadi Ndour. Today we meet one of the most successful and recognized names and brands in real estate in the Gambia, Mr. Mustafa Njie, Chairman and CEO of Taff Africa Global. His company is present in several African countries. His portfolio spans across the continent and continues to grow. His career in real estate began more than 40 years ago when he was just 19. Today, Taff Africa Global has built thousands of homes and has employees across Africa, from the Gambia to Nigeria and outside the continent in Dubai. Thank you for talking to Stories from the Continent, Mr. Njie.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting that every time we sit down with a successful person, you know, even those at the very height of their careers, they say the same thing to me, that the journey has never been straightforward. Mr. Njie, I would like you to tell us about your journey to success. How have you been able to succeed and make it as the most successful businessman in real estate in the country?
My journey, comes with a lot of challenges, but by nature, I'm someone who loves challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I love challenges, and I'm satisfied with, you know, when I conquer these challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what I tell people all the time, that life and business is about conquering challenges or turning challenges into opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So where it's too easy for me, I don't go into that area.
Yeah.
Because as you know, the saying goes that the higher the risk, the bigger the returns.
Mm-hmm.
So I take some huge risk. So I've had loads and loads of challenges,
mm-hmm.
which some I conquered,
mm-hmm.
some I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the thing is about business and life in general, people don't focus on your failure.
Mm-hmm.
They focus on your successes.
Absolutely.
So you can fail, you know, so many times, but it's never surfaced.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know about it. But you make one successful venture,
mm-hmm.
and that's the one that covers
that everybody
everything.
knows.
Yeah.
We'll get into the challenges that you haven't conquered yet in a little bit. But for now, though, I'm interested in Mustafa Njie, the student, the young carpenter. Tell us about your upbringing.
Well, you know, I think when I was in high school, I was exposed to technical subjects,
mm-hmm.
which is done to most kids at the time when
mm-hmm.
you go into high school.
Mm-hmm.
You will have your sciences, you have your social sciences, you know, you'll have literature and so on, languages.
Yeah.
And also you'll be exposed to technical subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And this was compulsory in the first 3 years of your high school education.
Okay.
So I discovered my skills in woodwork
mm-hmm.
at a very young age. So
how old
when
were you?
I was probably about 13.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember making, you know, a shoe rack, a candle stand.
Yeah.
And you know, and like in skills, what happens is you discover yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I had a natural skill in it. Mm-hmm. Like the first time I went to woodwork, I loved it. I had a passion for it.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we made all these, you know, mine came out to be the best. And you know, I had a passion for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was exposed to it, and I was very passionate in working with my hands. Mm-hmm. And obviously at exams, I would score very high marks in it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I discovered my skills at a very young age, between the ages of 13, 14, mm-hmm. when I was going to Gambia High School.
Yeah, and then you've just ran with it.
Yes, I ran with it, but I will tell you, at one point I nearly dropped it.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you know, then you need to now, from 11 subjects, mm-hmm. you need to now trim it down to 7. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to read chemistry. Mm-hmm. But again, because I thought, you know, chemistry was the thing to do.
Yeah.
Why should you do woodwork instead of chemistry? But I had a teacher who saw this in me, and mm-hmm. probably that's where destiny comes in, mm-hmm. who
Absolutely.
insisted that I must do woodwork. Mm-hmm. You know, and somehow also my dad was working at the school at the time. Mm-hmm. My dad was the buzzer. Mm-hmm. And he had to go to my dad to tell me that I must not drop woodwork.
Wow.
And that saved my life.
Yes,
That
definitely. And
yes.
saved the life of many as well in here.
Yeah.
You've talked about your dad. I've read a previous interview where you talked about your mother and her being a huge, influence and source of inspiration in you, becoming an entrepreneur. What role, has she really played in your life?
Well, my mom actually played a very huge role in my life. And not only of being an entrepreneur, but in appreciating life and handling life. Because my mom had a very high sense of humor. My mom valued life beyond being an entrepreneur, working hard, the honesty, being a people's person. Which I took from him.
Definitely.
Like now I had to rush to come out from her house.
Yeah.
That's where I spend every Friday.
Oh, wow.
So I go to the mosque and then we gather there. I've got now 3 sisters who are alive and all of us are there.
Every Friday?
Yes. And then Tobaski Tobaski was 2-3 days ago. I still go to Banjul for my Tobaski. I have never in my life spent Tobaski or Korite in my own house.
I think that's beautiful.
And obviously I need to thank my wife for this, for 36 years doing this with me.
Amazing.
So yes, my mom has influenced us as a family to love each other and also to love others. So she's been a huge inspiration to me, not only in working but generally in life.
I think those values definitely come across. Mr. Njie, what about your beginnings in establishing yourself in the construction market? How was that for you?
It wasn't easy because there was the fear factor. I was being very well paid before I branched on my own. So I used to work for a British Gambian partnership called Sehu Cisse and Sons Construction.
Yeah. Oh, I do know.
Yes, so Sehu Cisse Construction. And Richard Wright, who's British, still alive, hired me, and I was his number 2. And now I was being paid well above an average Gambian salary. So when I decided to venture on my own, most people thought I was doing the wrong thing. Why should you leave? You're given a company car. You've been well paid. I was even being paid a percentage of the company's turnover as an incentive. But as an entrepreneur, when it was right, when it was time to go, I decided to go and to take the risk. And I never had any regrets for it.
Let me ask you this though, why still real estate? In a country where with the right connections, the opportunities are endless really. Why have you not diversified in other areas of business? Why have you stuck mainly to your expertise?
Well, the English saying says that you're better off being, if you're a jack of all trade, you're a master of none.
Master of none, absolutely.
And that's really my philosophy. I have ventured out into some other areas, and I used to own a hotel. I don't know whether you are old enough to know.
About this.
Yeah, Taff which is opposite the Kairaba Hotel called Saj. I had a partnership with a friend of mine, and I was the senior partner. A 100-room hotel, way back in 1995. We started about 1993.
Okay.
And we sold it, I think, in the early 2000. So yes, I used to own a hotel. I used to be in the building material business. But everything I did was around real estate and construction. So owning a hotel, what led me to owning a hotel was the construction of it, because I built the hotel and later ventured into managing it. I'll give you a secret, maybe it's not a secret, it can be an open one.
Yeah.
Yusundur, the Yusundur Gala that you see here, I started it, I initiated it.
Oh wow,
At
so
Taff Twins.
entertainment also.
Actually, Yusundur used to stay in our hotel at Taff Twins because it was a bit homely, when they come in, we'll cook them anything that they want, chili kong, super kanja, whatever. And one day as an entrepreneur, I was standing on one of the balconies, and then Baige Fai came over, and then Madi Drame. And then I said, look guys, you guys come here and you'll pay for your accommodation and in return we will house you. So why don't we do something? Come in, because normally they would fly in on a Friday, but only perform on Saturday and Sunday. So I said, why don't you play for me on Friday? Let's do a gala dinner. Because there are some people who don't want to go to the stadium. Normally they would call it a dance and a show. But there are people who would love to listen to you, Sundur. But why don't you bring it into a much more formal setting?
Yeah.
So they agreed, we did a gala dinner setting, and then we battered. So they didn't pay me for the accommodation, and then I took the gate takings.
Yeah.
So I think we did it twice or 3 times, and that's really what brought in the gala dinners that you see now.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so interesting that out of, all these outside ventures that you've mentioned, you've still, like I said, stuck to the core, which is, real estate and construction, because that is where your element is. And I think that's a message, to a lot of people that perhaps struggle with, what should I do? A lot of young people, what should I do? And even, I think it's interesting when you mentioned, starting out and people having doubts about you being able to succeed on your own. And it's always about taking that first step, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Ms. Njie, since you started, the market and landscape has changed massively, but you've managed to stay on top. Despite the challenges and competition, from your fellow Gambians, the Indians, the Chinese, how have you done it? How does one excel in a venture for close to what, half a century?
Yeah, well, the way to do it is to compete with your own self. You try to break your own record all the time. You don't wait for the competitor to come close to you before you think about anything else. So these days, as you know, business is about, disrupting things. It's about innovation. A good businessman, a good entrepreneur should be an innovator.
Yeah.
So I am an innovator. I am always innovative on the next step. What is the next thing that I need to do? So I don't target, being in a certain position and then wait for somebody to get there before I move on.
You're always thinking ahead.
I always think ahead. I'm always innovative. I look at things. And also one thing that is very unique of my background is that, look, I am a hands-on man. As you know, I started as a carpenter. So when I'm on site, I know exactly what is being done. And I went through everything in construction. So I can sit in a lounge, whilst waiting for my plane. And I just have an instinct, something just comes up to me. And I then take my pen and my paper, start scribbling. And the next thing you know, it's something that comes up.
It's happening. Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's who I am, and that is why I stay in this business, because really that's where my strength is.
Yeah, I think many creatives, can relate, but I think sometimes the difference between actually having these ideas and acting on it can be procrastination, which I know a lot of people struggle with. Do you struggle with that?
I don't procrastinate. I mean, I work with my instincts. But what I do is I do develop a lot of things in my brain. At times, I mean, like I just told a friend of mine today, that this is why it's good to think aloud. At times I bounce ideas to my staff, my wife, my close friends, on something that I am developing quietly. And I'll give you an example. I mean, 2 days ago, I was with a friend, and I'm supposed to go and sign an MOU with UN Habitat. And because of COVID protocols now, I thought they gave me an option of signing it, virtually.
Yeah.
So I communicated to them that, look, okay, fine. I think the easiest bit is let's sign virtually. So actually, it was at a burial, at a funeral. I sat next to him and told him that I wasn't going to make it to Nairobi. Then he said, but I don't think you should. I think you should go to Nairobi, because this is a big one. I mean, I don't think UN Habitat has ever signed with a developer. So I think you should go. And then I changed my mind.
Then you.
Now I tell people all the time, the issue about consultation, which is important. When you consult, then you take a decision on any matter that you are thinking about. So a good example, while I consulted with him and he advised something different, I just changed my mind because it was a better idea.
Yeah, but I think as well on consulting, it has to be with the right person.
But at times, not necessarily, Hadi, you'll be surprised.
Do you think so?
Yes, you'll be surprised. There's a wall of saying, ham nubu, dafa pursala. Mag dina ko for, ndaw dina ko for. At times you'll be surprised. And my model on consultation and being obviously the CEO of the Taff Group. I am the CEO of the company. But my management meetings, I speak last. I never speak. I mean, I have probably around the conference table about 12 of my workers, my subordinates, but it is my policy that I listen first.
Absolutely.
And that's a lesson to take away. I mean, I know that quite a number of young people, they do follow me. Never think that you've got all the answers.
You never have.
You never, yeah. At times when you throw this out and you just listen, some might come out better with better ideas than you do. So that's my strategy. And I always identify those I think that are the weakest and ask them to speak first. You know, because most of the time you find people who are very strong in the issue that probably is to be discussed.
Yeah.
But when you ask those who are weak, then we'll give them the opportunity to develop themselves.
Absolutely.
And build up confidence.
Absolutely.
You know, and then from there, most of the time I might decide that, look, we're supposed to go east. And by the time you go around the table, I might change it. Okay, fine. Somebody suggested west. I think west is a better idea.
Yeah. And
so a good leader should always be a good listener.
And I think you'll be surprised as well with the shy ones, what they always come out
with.
Yes. So Uncle Taff, we've diverted a little bit. Tell us about this new project you've started this year, the Taff Twins, which you're planning to build in Canifing, if I'm not wrong. And please correct me again if I'm wrong. But Canifing is quite a central hub in the Gambia. It's close enough, to a big city and the towns. What is this project about, and how is it different from anything you've ever done before?
Well, as we are known for affordable housing, it's affordable housing. It's our forte. It's something that we do all over the continent. But I've been interested in commercial real estate too.
Okay.
I was actually going to build something like this in Lagos, pre the change in 2016.
Yeah.
So when I came in, I mean, again, as a leader in the market, we always take the lead in innovation. I think it is ripe for this country to develop proper commercial structures, because offices are designed to serve as commercial spaces and not converting dwelling houses or residential into offices, which is most of the time the case.
That is the case.
So, but anything I do also, I always have a litmus test. Where we are now, these are offices that have been built purposely and being rented out. And it worked. So first we started ages ago, did the mall on the ground floor, then did these offices recently, and it all got rented out. So for that reason, it justified that there was a market. Now here it's Burfoot. In Canifing, it's very central as far as offices are concerned. It's 10 minutes drive away from Banjul. Again, flip it, it's about 10 minutes or so away from Senegambia. It's 2-3 minutes into pipeline. So I thought that, look, one, we need to put up a structure. Again, I'm working on my legacy. So one day, even if I move on to the other world, when you drive, you'll say, yes, there was one Mr. Mustafa Njie who was the first to build a structure like this.
Yeah.
And again, we need to demonstrate that as Gambians, we can put up edifices as good as you would find anywhere in the world.
Absolutely.
So I thought that, look, in putting up this building, which I think there's a demand, let's put out the best. Let it be a structure as good as what you will find in Dubai. Let it be as good as something you find in the middle of London or Washington or Sao Paulo. So this is really the motivation behind it. And we do our market research, and we know that there is a market, and be rest assured people will follow suit. Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, is there a chance that this could, overpower the progress and presence of a lot of, Gambian businesses at the very, local level? Would Taff Twins put Gambian businesses out of business?
No, I mean, there's nobody who's building proper offices.
Yeah.
It's completely new. Look around. People who rent out offices